Welcome everybody. Welcome to the show. Today we have a shorter show. We're not going to play anything. We're going to show you a game. Not going to go promise into a lot of detail, just to show you the game, how it looks set up, what the game is about. And we're also going to have a giveaway for the game. So, I mean, it's not a package like British Tank Case, but at least it's a giveaway. Welcome, Jeffrey. We got Jeffrey, Paul. We got Nerd Workshop, John Reed. Thanks for showing up, John. Brian Lindsay, and whoever else is in the chat, in the transmission. We have also Peter, one of our 3 viewers from Australia. I don't know why I appear in front of the chat. Right, let me fix that. There it is. Okay. So Peter is also here. So let me move to the side and let's start talking about what this is about. And today we're going to show this game, Tarqui. It's like Turkey, but with an A. Tarqui, an honorable peace. Yeah, there was an extra edition, Labor Day edition today of Compass. So Tarqui, an honorable peace. What is this game about first? This is a game that has to do with the wars of independence in South America. After the colonies in South America rebelled at the beginning of the 19th century, they start forming new countries. And you had the Republic of Gran Colombia, which comprises present-day Colombia, Venezuela, and Ecuador. And you have also the Republic of Peru. To the south, you had the Argentines. I think Uruguay had not formed yet. I think Bolivia was there. And of course, being the greedy human nature, you know, each of these republics wants to have more territory. Caudillos, yes. And so they start fighting with each other to gain more territory. So these are like territorial wars to expand their own extension of territory. And this one is between Peru and Gran Colombia. So when I say Colombia here, I'm going to say it for short, Colombia, but it's not just Colombia. Gran Colombia was pretty big. Venezuela, Colombia, and Ecuador. And this is a battle that takes place actually in Ecuador. It's like a meeting engagement. It was not a very decisive battle, but apparently strategically, it was like a political victory for Gran Colombia. Peru had a better navy, but Gran Colombia beat Peru on land, which is what counted there. And so that's what the game is about. I know very little about the conflict. This is designed by Mark Figueras and published by a company, well, actually published by Snafu, which is a store in Sabadell, Spain, a store that is, they sell board games, and they sell war games, non-war games, but they also have their design team, and they've been designing games and publishing games since 2021. And I think I've bought them all the war games they've published because I'm interested, because the topics are interesting. They're rare topics, even within World War II. And I'll show you those games. I'll show you the covers and tell you what it's about. But here's, for example, a photograph. This is on their website. And there's a link to their website in the description of this live streams if you want to check it out. This is where they test their games. They play test their games. They also play other people's games. They play, GMT, Compass games, and because they also sell games. I went to Barcelona 2 years ago. I always go for the Bellota Con in January. I was planning on going to Sabadell, which is like, I think, a 20-minute drive. But for some reason, I didn't go. And this year, I'm going to the Bellota again, but I'm going to Cadiz and Gibraltar, so I don't think I'll be able to go there. But that's one of the places I want to go, because every time I purchase a game from them, they send me the game I purchased, and they give me an extra copy to give away, and that's why I'm giving away this copy. And by the way, let's put on the ticker. The ticker has what you have to write down to participate, and anybody can participate. I'll take my chances with Australia. I can always, take out a second mortgage to pay for the postage. Now, write down hashtag Tarqui, and remember how Tarqui is spelled. Tarqui like this, and it's also in the chat over there. Hashtag Tarqui. So this is Snafu. This is their front store. Nice looking store there. But it always amazed me, they design games also. And when you look at the games that they designed, for example, the first one they designed was by Mark Figueras. And he's like in-house there. He's designed a few of their games. This one's called Ambon, Burning Sun and Little Seagulls. This is a battle on an island in the Moluccas where the Japanese are invading. And it has a one map game, 80 pieces, very nice looking map. And the artist, Niels Johansson. For some reason, Snafu at the beginning, all the maps were by Niels Johansson. And with Niels Johansson, it happens to me like with Mark Simonich, when in the old days of Command Magazine, they had two map artists, Mark Simonich and somebody else who wasn't Mark Simonich. So I would end up buying all the Mark Simonich maps just because they were great. And they didn't have tons of colors, but they were unambiguous, elegant, even with the modesty of colors of the time, Now, Simonich does great games, and his maps are just amazing. I think Simonich is the state of the art in the perfection between functionality and beauty. He hits that mark every time. So that's why I like his maps. And Niels Johansson is just a great artist. Let me do something I haven't done here. I'm going to show you a map by Niels Johansson, which I have here in my studio, which I liked it so much, I loved it so much that I got a map and I put it on a marco, how you say, like a painting. And this is, I think, one of my favorite maps of all time. So let me just show you here. This is the part of the studio where I have the piano here. Got a little mess there. And I have my Roger McGowan posters autographed by Roger also. And I have two of my favorite all-time maps. And this is the one by Niels Johansson. This is the map for Maori Wars by Legion War Games. And Randy Lean was kind enough to send to me a map that had no folds. So I was able to place that map in that frame. And the other one I have is also a Legion game, a map that I like. Sorry for the glare. This is the Toulon 1793 map. So I like those two maps. So that is the wall over there at the piano side. So let's bring it back here too. So that's Niels Johansson. So another map by Niels Johansson. If you've seen the game by David Thompson, Ridge, what's its name? Yeah, I think I have it back there. It's the Battle of the Bulge game by David Thompson, which I forgot the name right now. That's American Squad on a Hill, something Hill. That map is by Niels Johansson. So in any game where Niels does a map, I'll end up buying because it's just an amazing visual experience, and it televised as well. I love that those maps. So this is the first game by Snafu, Ambon, Mark Figueras. The second game is a game, Lanzerath Ridge. Thank you, Brian. Yes, that's it. So the second game is Santander 37. And by the way, the first game is a hex encounter game. And because it has 80 pieces, it's one that I'm considering I could do a video on because it's manageable. The same with this one. Santander 37 is a game designed by Javier Romero. Javier Romero is a very prolific Spanish game designer. His latest game, I think, is the one published by Compass's magazine, Paper Wars. I don't know if it's Red Parachutes or Red something. It's about the partisan warfare in the Eastern Front. Yeah. And you like the Panzerblitz cover? Well, let me see. That's on the wall. That's the Panzer cover. That's the one for... There's one for Panzer I got over there. Oh, I got here the social thing. I got to get this in front here. Let me see if I can get it in front of this. There it is. Yeah. I'm still polishing the edges here. Yeah. So this one is a Spanish Civil War game. In the north of Spain, you had, of course, the Republic had an enclave that didn't connect with the rest of the Republican forces. You had there the Basques, the Santanderinos, and the Asturians. And of course, they were on the Republican side, but they didn't get along well with each other. That's why the Republic was kind of a mess. And this is a two-player game. One side has the Republic and the other one has the Nationalists. So it's a very small game. I'm interested in playing that and show it to you because it has nice mechanics, short duration. I think it would televise very well. It would be very, very interesting. Aragon 38. She's got that one pinned. That would be interesting. There's some Spanish Civil War games coming out. A very interesting one is Asturias 37. That's a NAC war game. And it's like Paths of Glory, but in that region of Spain. I'm looking forward to picking that up when I go to the Bellotacon there. So that's game number 2, and this is their small battles format. Game number 3 is a conflict I didn't know anything about, which is called Equatorial Clash. This is a conflict that occurred in 1941 while World War II was going on in the rest of the world. Ecuador and Peru went against each other. And this is a game that it's an area map game, but it has like various fronts. And you have the political situation in Ecuador. A very interesting game. The map is just amazing. I should do just an episode one day on maps by Niels Johansson, because the map is just, it's a piece of art. So I'm just saying it here. I'm not going to show you this map today because it will take forever. But another game that I want to get to the channel, the playthrough format that I'm doing, which plays pretty quickly, very elegant game, and on a conflict I know nothing about, this Equatorial Clash. And the designer here is Mark Figueras also. So Mark Figueras does hex and counter games. He does area games. So pretty versatile designer there. We go to the next game, and this is 12 Hours at Malem. This is a game about the Crete invasion by the Germans, but only focusing on Malem airfield. And I'm trying to remember who is the designer here. Let me see, I got it here. Who is the designer here? Ivan Prat. Ivan Prat is normally one of the developers. In these Snafu games, Mark Figueras does a lot of the designing, and Ivan Prat is usually the developer, but he's the one who designed this game. Some very interesting mechanics. Another map by Niels, and this is the Assault on Malem Airfield. And then the next game is Nothing Left to Bomb. This is a two-player game about the bombing of Malta in World War II by the Italians and then by the Germans. And this game, I don't think this is Mark Figueras. This is Nicola Saghini. And Nicola Saghini, I believe, is the co-designer of By Stealth and Sea. That's one of my favorite David Thompson games. That's one about the Italian frogmen with a guided with the manned torpedoes in World War II, sinking ships, going into harbors and pulling out. So I think Nicola Saghini is the co-designer there. So this is Nothing Left to Bomb. And I don't think this is a map by Niels Johansson. Let me see. It doesn't say here. Graphics, David Prieto, yes. I think Niels was up to the Malem game there. Okay, so that's volume number 5. Volume number 6 was nominated for a Charles Roberts Award, I think for Best Modern Game. This is Operation Bolabank. I don't know how you pronounce that. But this is The Relief of Tango 2. This is a game about the war in Bosnia in 1994. This is number 6, and I think this one was Mark Figueras. Let me see. Designed, I correct, Nicola Saghini. And the map here, the art is Niels Johansson. So that's why this looks fantastic also. This one's a little bit more involved. I think this is the most complex game they have, Operation Bolabank. So I want to do a video on all their games. I like them so much. There's only one thing about Snafu that I have a gripe about, and I'm going to tell you what that is. I'm going to tell you, but I won't tell you now. So that's number 6. And today they have also a Pocket Battle series, and this is one of their Pocket Battle games. There's another Pocket Battle game, which I didn't put in the slides, which is called The Battle of Mackinac Island. And that's this one that you see here. So this is a game by Matt Kelly. I haven't taken a look at this one yet. So, okay. But today we're going to take a look at Tarqui, an honorable piece. So let's take it to the table. Here we have it set up. And I will be giving away a copy of the game. I have my copy on the board, on the table, and I'm going to give out the copy. This is how the game comes. It's a small package, and I'm going to give some extras also. Now I'm going to talk about the gripe I have with Snafu. The only thing I wish they would improve, and it is that the counters are thin. And these are the counters set up for the beginning of the game. You have the Peruvian forces in purple, and you have the Grand Colombian forces in green. They're coming from the north. And then you have these objective markers. So these are objectives for the Peruvians. So the Peruvians have to come up and capture the objectives of their color. This one's worth 1 victory point, 2, and this one's worth 3, and the same for the Colombians. The closest one is 1, 2, and 3. So this is a game that doesn't have a lot of units. units. It's like 12 on one side and 11 on the other, and they're basically battalions and cavalry squadrons. But it has some interesting mechanics, hex and counter game. It has a variable impulse system, so you don't know when the turn is going to end. And then the mechanics are interesting because in a turn you can activate a stack or a unit, and you have to choose between movement, combat against an adjacent hex, or if it's an artillery unit, there's only one artillery unit per side to fire. So you can move. That's the end of your impulse. Then the next player moves. The opposing player's turn comes up, and he decides to pull back. He can do that unless you use your initiative, and you can use your initiative to get an extra impulse, in which case that unit that you moved can attack. But also, units have to check for exhaustion after they move and after they participate in combat. So you can move, and then you get an unfavorable exhaustion die roll, and your unit starts to deteriorate. It is exhausted. If it fails another exhaustion die roll, it becomes shaken, and from there, routed. So you got to be careful with your units. So I'm going to include this game, and you see the pieces that start on the map. And this is another extra I'm going to include. I like the player aids that have the pictures of the units. I made this one, and I'm going to post it in Board Game Geek. So this one tells you the start forces, and you have the reinforcements here. So you see them there, and you can see that turn 2, the Colombians received these 2 cavalry squadrons. They already have one of their cavalry squadrons, this one, which is Cedeño. Historically, that cavalry squadron advanced and got entangled with the vanguard of the leading forces of the Peruvians. So that cavalry squadron was engaged in battle. This one may come in turn 2, but there's a possibility, if you roll on the night confusion table, that it will be delayed. And the game brings these player aids, which I like. It has these are, remember, this comes in a little bag. You have here this is the back of the package. The back card doubles as a player aid. You have another player aid here. This one is two-sided. And the sequence of play, stacking limits, victory points, persecution table. I think they should have used pursuit table. And then you have here the combat results table and the table for firing your artillery. And then you have the front of the game, Tarqui and honorable peace. And then the back doubles as the terrain effect chart. And you have there the movement cost for the terrain for infantry, cavalry, and artillery in daytime and nighttime. So, and here we have our rule book. It's, I think, 16 pages. It's in color. I think it's well explained. There's some words that, for example, instead of persecution, should use pursuit. But it's nothing, it's better than what you expect from a game that's translated from a foreign language to English. This is not bad at all. Bolívar, Quest for Glory, has a good final section on this war, okay? So you have here, for example, the units, the symbols here, what they mean. See, this is combat strength and movement, but that symbol that looks like an equal symbol really means 2 steps. And when you flip the unit to its backside, like you see here for the 4th Hussars, it has 1 step, and it's a lighter color. So it's they have 2 sides. There's markers for exhausted units, shaken units. And one thing that I did, because the counters were thin, I did an extra set of counters, and I hope you like those. I'll show you those. You have an example of movement. One rule that called my attention: you pay for entering a zone of control. That's normal. And you pay for exiting a zone of control only if the unit you're in the zone of control of is faster than yours. So if you have a cavalry unit, movement allowance of 7, in the zone of control of an infantry unit, the movement allowance of 4, when you exit its zone of control, you don't pay anything. Of course, you pay the cost of the terrain, but you don't pay that penalty for exiting the zone of control. So that's a nice touch. I like that. So you have here the activation, as I stated. Here there's an activation phase where players activate their units. So it's a pretty interactive game. You activate a stack or a unit, then I activate a stack. I can use again the initiative to activate a second stack, but then the initiative passes to the other player. Then after activations are done or both players pass, there's a refresh phase where units recover one step, for example, from shaken to exhausted, or from exhausted to fresh. And then there's a victory phase. You check for victory. So it's pretty standard stuff. What is pretty involved is the victory conditions. Here you have an example of combat, well illustrated, artillery fire, a victory phase, a refresh phase. And then the game may end by conceding the battlefield, depending on the amount of victory points. I'm not going into detail. So there's uncertainty from turns 6, 7, and 8. The game may end there. If somebody concedes the battlefield, there's a die roll involved. So you have victory determination, the setup, some nice artwork there. And these are the counters that I will include. I did a set for myself and a set for the player or the viewer who is gonna take the game home. Let me open those here. See, one thing that called my attention is the Peruvians are in purple, and for me it's hard to discern what the combat value is. Now I can see because I have the light there. So it's pretty dark, that purple. And of course the unit is very thin, but if you take a 5/8 of an inch unit, which is this one, this is a unit that I made stickers and pasted them on wood. And look at this map. This map has huge hexes and still accommodates a 5/8 of an inch counter there. So it's still comfortable to play even with these huge counters. And then what we have is the markers are 1/2 inch. So you have exhausted, and these are easy to handle. They're pretty thick. These are just stickers on existing counters. So you have all these counters there for the game, which I made. This is one thing I enjoy making, player aids for games and sometimes even counters. And this is a game that I like the mechanics, and I may do a video on this game just to play it. But here you see the initiative marker. And it fits nicely here. So at the beginning of the game, the Colombians have the initiative. If they use it, you just flip it to the Peruvian side. So it fits nicely there. I'm trying to pick up the thin counter here. So this is something that I wish that Snafu could improve, is the thickness of the counters. That's all. Because, you need to handle counters, and especially in a game like this, you're flipping counters back and forth. They're two-sided. So it's hard to handle. I understand they want to keep the cost down. That was a problem that Decision Games had some years ago. And I think they do all their printing in the United States. And I think that Snafu does their printing in Spain. So I hope that they can do thicker counters. What I do is I purchase bits of or pieces of wood in a business called Z Laser. And maybe I should do a video on how I do these in case you're interested. These are done in PowerPoint, these images, but PowerPoint, you have to change the settings to print, so it prints at a higher resolution. PowerPoint prints, the default is 96 dots per inch. You have to change it to at least 300. So, and after you do so, the printing is great. You change it into a PDF, you make a sticker and just stick it on and it looks great. I laminate these too. I have a easy laminator, which is pretty inexpensive. Here we have the lapse marker. One of the good things I like about this game is the game starts with two night turns. You see there? There's 2 night turns, 5 and 5:30. These are night turns. There's going to be a die roll to see if units become exhausted just because it's a night and you have to roll. So it's going to have that replayability because it's going to be different every time. And then as units take actions, if you roll a 6, the lapse marker advances 1. If you activate an exhausted unit, it advances 1. If you pass, it advances 2. And once it gets to 4, that's the end of that turn. So there's variability in the length of the turn. And when it is a day turn, and that is the marker that this brought here, when it is a day turn, you just flip the marker, and the lapse occurs in turn 8. So that's one of the mechanics I like. I like games that you don't know when the turn is going to end, that have that variability. And we see that a lot in what do you call area impulse games. I just threw a marker somewhere. Well, it will appear. Okay. And this one has it too. So it has some elements that I like. And well, whoever wins this, you got those 5/8 of an inch counters and the markers are 1/2 inch. So let's turn our attention to the sweepstakes. Let me see if I can get this thing over here. Let's get it to, let me see, I got the, see where I put the button for the sweepstakes. Giveaway scene, here it is. There it is. So let me bring this closer. It says pick a winner. There's supposed to be like a, I think like how do you call it? Some graphic or something. So we're going to do it now. Hashtag Tarqui, and hopefully this will pick a winner. Here we go. So here we go. And the winner is Richard De Fortuna. Congratulations, Richard. So Richard, I didn't put it in the what do you call it, in the ticker up there. Richard, write to me. This is the first time I think you win in my channel at stukajoe@gmail.com. stukajoe@gmail.com, and give me your mailing address and I'll be shipping this to you. So congratulations. Cardboard Commander is here. Great to see you, Jerry. So that is good fortune. Fortuna means fortune, and it paid off. Congratulations. So that was good. I'm glad that this giveaway thing worked. So let's get back to the scene here. So that was a short look at Tarqui, and I wanted to talk to you about Snafu game design. So the link is in the description. I want to thank them for sending me the extra copy. I want to do more playthroughs with their games. And I'm doing tomorrow, I'm going to do another live. It's going to be on most probably the next game. I'm going to do a playthrough, which is Black Skin, Black Shirt. This is a game designed by Arben Madison about the Second Italo-Ethiopian War, where we play the role of the Ethiopians. And if you thought the Italians had problems, boy, the Ethiopians had 3 times the problems the Italians had. So we're going to play that game. I think we'll start next week. I'm trying to find a way to have it moving because it has 25 turns. So I'll have to squeeze 5 turns per episode. And I like to keep the episodes at an hour and a half. It has to keep moving. So this is something that I'm still working on, and I enjoy it a lot. And I know it's a new game, so maybe a lot of you don't have the game, but I did event cards. There's 3 types of events in the game. Turn events that always happen at a specific turn. Then you have military events and political events. And if you played Arben Madison games, those games have a table where you roll a die, add the turn number, and then you have the events. So the events happen more or less when they happen or could have happened historically. I really like that mechanic. So I made cards for them. And the reason for making cards is that all these games, for some reason, have the detail of the event in the rule book. And I hate having to go constantly to the rule book to find out what the effect is. I'd rather have the cards right on the table. Okay, these are the events. Let's take a look at the cards. Boom, 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 and you're out. So I'm going to be showing those cards tomorrow, more or less at this time, maybe earlier because there's no compass tomorrow. There's no giveaway. So I'll be doing that tomorrow. I want to thank again all of you for showing up. This was on short notice. Richard, you got my email, right? stukajoe@gmail.com. And the first time you ever won a game, well, I wish it was a bigger game, but you know, you got to start sometime. So congratulations on winning a copy of Tarqui, an honorable piece designed by Mark Figueras. And I want to thank you for showing up and supporting the channel. You know, this is a project in development, and eventually we'll have another person sitting over there when we play our game so that we can make less mistakes or the game have it move. So I'm working on that, getting a guest also. And it can be anybody who's interested or who knows about the game we're going to play. It doesn't have to be a designer. It can be anybody who has interest in the game. So that's something every time I'm getting closer to it because I'm starting to get the hang of this a little bit. So I want to thank each and every one of you for being here. And as I always say, this is Stuka Joe signing off for now. Thanks for watching, guys.